This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Carlos Becker, recent graduate of our Life Accelerator. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you very much.
Tell us a bit about you. Where are you from? What do you do? Your background.
Okay, I'll try to be short. So I'm from Argentina, and I've been in Europe now for probably 8 years, and in Switzerland living and working doing my PhD for 6 years now. So I finished my PhD recently in image processing, machine learning, computer science, let's say. And I'm working in a company in Lausanne where we also do this kind of computer vision, image processing things.
Okay.
And yeah, and recently graduated from your Life Accelerator. I'm very happy with it.
What was going on internally before you decided to join the Life Accelerator? What was going on in your life and your brain, you know, because something brought you here to us.
Yeah, many things actually. So I broke up with my ex after 6 years, like a year and a half ago. And that was a big change for me. A big change that I was in the end very happy to have gone through, though it's very harsh at the beginning. And then that made me rethink a lot of things about my life and how I was dealing with things, what I wanted to do, etc. And that led me to read a lot of things, to your channel actually, YouTube, and I learned a lot of things from that. And this is how I think the relationship with London Real started a bit. Even maybe before, just was always very interested in all this philosophy stuff and how to I would say improve or just deal with a few things in ourselves. And then I think I was on a nice path that I was liking how things were going in me. But then I said, well, there's still these things there are these goals that I put to myself that I say I want to do this. I gain motivation. I put a lot of energy, and then slowly this motivation goes down, and then I drop them. And then I saw your webinar, actually your 2 webinars. And I said, well, you know, why not? These guys seem to know what they're talking about. They seem to be genuine about caring about pushing us and trying to help us deal with these things. And they have some cool techniques from all these people that they summarize in this course. And I said, I'll jump in. And I sent you an email, actually, and I said, look, Brian, I'm afraid, I don't know. To which I got an answer back, and then I said, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger. And well,
okay.
That's how.
And what about your friends and family and things like that when you're talking to them about this decision? Well, what are they saying to you?
I was a bit afraid, to be sincere, at the beginning, because I thought, what are they going to think? And actually, 1 week after I pulled the trigger, I met my family in Barcelona. They were visiting. And I said, I'm not going to hide anything. Like, one of my purposes in all of this is to be vulnerable and just talk about these things. So I told my friends, I told my family, and my brother were super supportive about it, which surprised me because I thought I don't know why, we always had a really good connection, and we still have a very good connection. But at some point I thought, like, oh, they're going to think it's weird, like, how much did you pay for this, and what are you doing? But actually they were like, no, I think that's great, and yeah, go do it and make the best out of it. So there was a lot of support. And I think maybe that's part of being able to open up and tell people exactly why we're getting into this, that it's an exploration. So I was very happy to hear that feedback from them and from my friends as well.
Okay. Why London Real?
Why London Real? Oh, I don't know. I think there's this thing that I feel connected. Like when you interview the guests, when like the questions you ask, like you get very vulnerable too. And as you say, also the guests sometimes get very vulnerable too. And there's this connection that I'm like, oh, you know, I'm not the only one having these problems, or like maybe this person, what he or she went through, could also help me. And I feel connected. Like I was watching the addiction video from Gabor, and I was watching. I was like this. I was like, wow, this is so. I felt like in your place and in his place, especially we talked about your addiction, for example, and this just caught me instantly. So I think it's this thing of connection first, and then that I can learn something from it.
Okay. All right. Now, you pulled the trigger. We dropped you in. What are the first 2 weeks of the program like? What surprised you? What were the people like? The training? You got me on these live calls. What do you remember?
Okay. Well, the first 2 weeks were very amazing. I think all this energy, right? And you start seeing these new people. And the first week was actually we were waiting for people to sign in, I think, to get more comfortable with the platform. So we were seeing introduction videos, and I could see instantly that we were all more or less having the same, with more or less details, but the same, I don't know, like we were not feeling very safe with ourselves, not ready to be vulnerable, not ready to push, and it was this instant connection with other people. And then the first 2 weeks, I would say, meditation I was doing, and low media diet was pretty cool. You know, disabling push notifications. I had my phone always in not disturb, but still, you know, when I was going to my phone to search for something, I have this idea, I want to search for it, I would see the notifications and distract myself. And disabling push notifications was something very amazing. But I would say, just to make it short for these 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, affirmations is a big game changer.
Okay.
And it is still, like, every morning. And even when I was telling the guys that were waiting also for the interview now, I was telling them that even when I see that I'm holding back, you know, I say something to myself, I don't believe in this. And then I tell myself, like, oh, that's funny, you're trying to make yourself believe in this. And I just laugh about it and just make fun of me on the street, like saying it out loud in front of my flat. Then that relaxes me and I can focus more on it. Just accepting that that day, maybe it's not my best day for that affirmation. So I'm rediscovering this also as it goes. And the more I do it, the more new things I discovered, that similar to Simon Sinek's video, what he says about feeling, that, yeah, when I get to write down and say what really makes me feel excited, then I can make more changes in me and what surrounds me, and
yeah,
big changer. So thanks a lot for that.
No, I love affirmations. I did mine this morning, you know, and I smile as well. I did it out loud, and I did it in the elevator on the tube, and it's all good. But no, it's a huge game changer, and I'm glad you went in big on that. And I know a lot of your class were doing them out loud in front of public places. It was amazing. What was your biggest challenge? What was the module that challenged you the most?
What did it challenge me the most? I think nutrition, the food part was, I pushed it too much for myself. I cut coffee and cut sugar and a lot of things, but I think it was pretty rewarding in the end. And I think also meditation, starting it doing in the morning and in the evening was a big game changer. I was doing it in the morning always, but doing it in the evening helped me a lot. But what else? First week was low media diet, meditation. Second week was goals. Goals was a big game changer. And actually, yeah, goals, and the last module where we wrapped everything up, that I say was a difficult one, because, well, I went through all the Facebook videos, all the comments, all my notes, and then I said, like, oh, well, there's so much material, so much still to work on. What do I want to do next? And I'm still a bit confused, but I think things are starting to clear out. But yeah, definitely there's this thing that a lot of the things between all the modules and the people and the comments on Facebook and connections, that things that start to come out, fears and things that motivate us, feelings, and putting all this together in this last module and this 3-hour walk that we do at the end was tough, but made me see so many things. Pretty amazing.
Okay. Talk to me about the community, the people you met over that 6-week period, the people you're meeting here in London for the first time. What are they like? If you had to describe it to someone outside of the academy, what would you say?
Well, it's like you. The first thing that comes to mind is, like, we met online, and suddenly we meet in person, and it's like as if it's friends that you've met all your life. And I think it's because of this connection, because we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to share the things that we like and the things that we don't like about ourselves. And there's this connection that happens very naturally. So then I was very excited to come here, but at the same time I was like, well, I should not have any high expectations, because you never know. But then just coming here, I started talking to them. I was like, oh, just you feel like you let go. Yesterday we did the movement practice, the meditation, all of this. In the room there was this energy, and I knew that you were there too, and I knew that there was no criticism. We could just have fun, let go, and you could just go and jump and talk to someone or do whatever silly, didn't matter. And it's this feeling of sharing and belonging that is beautiful.
Well said. Yeah. What are you going to take away from this course? What's the big thing you think that's going to change your life in the next 12 months?
What's it? Well, affirmations, definitely. And it's evolving, as we were talking before. I'm changing and reshaping my affirmations. Feeling like, what do I want to do if I have a job, let's say, or what I want to do in my life. For me, it's very important. I learned that it's very important, the people that surround me and the environment that I create and that we all create. So I think I could work in whatever, almost whatever, but it has to be this feeling of connection and pushing forward and sincerity. And this is something I discovered in this course. I was already seeing this before, but this helped me to make it stronger. And then finally, the community, which I think is something that is going to last. We have still like at least 6 months, a year to go. We're going to have these live calls periodically. And I think that knowing that we can trust each other and ask questions and push each other is something that I cannot say right now that it's going to be a big game changer, but I feel that it's one of the big game changers as well.
Okay. What if we walked out on the street right now and we bumped into the Carlos that didn't take this course, and you see him, how is he different than you are?
That's a good question. He's a bit more afraid of being himself and letting go. A bit more afraid of pushing and taking more risk. So I think that I also learned this phrase that I think you said, which is, I'm ready to win or learn. And that was a big game changer. So that I like, before I would have been very afraid of doing a startup, for example, of saying, suppose you tell me, drop your job, start a new thing. I would be like, no way, like my salary and what am I gonna do? Now I would be like, well, give me a good reason, a good feeling, I'll do it. And this already, it's a big game changer.
It's big for you because you're risk averse typically, yeah.
Yeah, I'm an engineer. So.
Same with me, I know. We're trained to be risk averse. That way planes don't fall out of the sky. But it's not a good way to live life at all. It's actually a horrible way to live life because you're not really living life, you're just being conservative all the time. So definitely. That's a big change. Finally, to anybody who's listening, who's thinking, I don't know if the Life Accelerator is for me, I don't know if I should do it, what would you tell them?
What would I tell them? Oof. I don't know, because for me, I was in the same situation. I would say, well, go for it. I think as we said, it requires time. But I think you estimate very well the time that it takes per week. Because of my doubts, I think maybe it's good if I go a bit to my why I was doubting in getting in.
Yeah.
So my doubts, because that could help someone doubting whether to get in or not. My doubts were, are you really doing it, like you and your team, because you want money or because you want you want to help us, you want to push and create this community? And this was one of my first doubts. And then during the course, I learned that it's really, you want to give us a hand on this. And of course, it's how you live, but still there is this genuine thing that I really appreciate. So that doubt, I would remove it from the equation. And then the second thing, I was afraid also because of what people around me may think, and that you spend money on this, what's this, like coaching, this. But I said, well, it's this fear of resistance that we learn, and to take it and go for it. And in the worst case, you say, well, it didn't help. But I think that when we see the techniques, and if a technique resonates with yourself, one of these things that you see in the course, then I think it's worth taking, because it means that there's something that you can take and use for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for jumping all in. I mean, you were one of the most amazing students on the course. You were just helping other people, putting all of your stuff out there, all of the videos. And so again, we can't do this course without you guys. And a lot of people tell me they would have paid just for the community, even if they never saw me. Yeah. And so it's the value really is in everyone watching you engage and you transform your life. So thank you for being a part of it. The instructors didn't stop talking about you. And and I can't wait to see how your life goes. Affirmations are super important because you're telling yourself every day that you are these great things, and it sounds like you're already feeling the difference, which is crazy because you can really make a difference in a week, let alone 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And you're doing it. So, Carlos, as we say, it's about the journey. I wish you well on yours. I can't wait to check back with you in a year and see how you're crushing it.
Well.
All right? Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Okay.